Failure doesn't make you poorer. It only slows you down. To find out where you are going. There are times when failing doesn't hurt because of the grade. It hurts because of the people who put their money and their hope into you. I remember that morning very clearly. Not because it was special, but because it was so ordinary. I opened my laptop in a small coffee shop. The smell of slightly burnt bread. The hoarse sound of the espresso machine. Outside the glass door, people went to work as they did every day. I logged into the student portal. Typed my password. Pressed enter. My name appeared. A single line. In red. Fail. No other words. No reason. No explanation. I stared at it for a long time. Without blinking. In my mind, it wasn't the grade. It was the image of my uncle standing by the pigsty. Counting each one. Then selling one to send me the money for enrollment. I thought of my wealthy aunt. The day I asked to borrow a little money. She only laughed. Why bother studying if your family is poor? It's just more suffering. That sentence came back. Clear. Right at this moment. I closed my laptop. Sat in silence. I didn't call home. I didn't have the courage to say. I failed. In the evening, I still went out to deliver goods. It was raining. The road was slippery. The bags were heavy. Each time I stopped at a red light, I watched the water flowing on the road surface. And thought, maybe I'm going the wrong way. But when I returned to my room, I reopened the textbook. Not to pass the subject, but to understand. Because if I give up here, I will never know what I lost to. When knowledge hasn't grown fast enough. The bills arrive first. The bill arrived on a Tuesday afternoon. Short email. Long amount. I looked at my bank account. A small number. Very small. I stood before the bursar's counter. The clerk spoke slowly. Clearly. I nodded. But in my head, I only heard one word. Deadline. I walked out of the building. It was sunny. But I felt cold. That night, I took an extra shift. Washing dishes. Clearing tables. Delivering. The smell of grease clung to my shirt. My hands were stinging. My back ached. There were nights when I fell asleep at my desk. Book open. Light on. The alarm rang. And I didn't know which day it was. I didn't think about success. I only thought about being allowed to stay for one more semester. There are moments when giving up isn't because of weakness, but because of exhaustion. One morning, I opened my suitcase. Not to pack. Just to look at it. The suitcase that had followed me since the first day I came here. Scratched at the corner. Stuck wheels. Like me. I sat down on the floor. Back against the wall. Light from the window shone in. Dust floating slowly. In my head, it wasn't school. It was a home-cooked meal. The sound of chopsticks and bowls touching. The voice of a loved one asking, "Is your studying going well, my child?" I didn't know how to answer. I thought of the nights washing dishes. Cracked hands. Soap eating into the skin. I thought of the times delivering at 1 a.m. Empty streets. Cold wind. One day the customer didn't open the door. I stood waiting for 10 minutes. Then they said they gave the wrong address. I thought of the class where I didn't understand what the professor said. The whole class laughed. I laughed along. But my head was empty. I thought of the failed exam. The word fail. In red. I thought of my uncle selling the pig. The aunt who wouldn't give a dime. It all piled up. One morning. One suitcase. I called home. My voice was small. My mother asked, "Are you tired?" I didn't tell the truth. I only said, "I'm okay." After the call, I sat for a long time. I realized, if I go back now, my body will be lighter. But my heart will be heavy. I won't be hungry anymore. But I will be hungry for something else. I folded the suitcase. Not because of courage, but because I hadn't given myself enough right to give up. Staying isn't because of confidence, but because of not yet accepting to leave. I went to submit the application to stay for one more semester on a very cold afternoon. No one went with me. No one cheered. It was just me. A stack of papers. And a decision that even I wasn't sure of. The clerk looked at the records. Typed. Looked up. You failed many subjects. I nodded. I know. She asked further. Are you sure you want to stay? I was silent for a few seconds. Not because I didn't have an answer. But because this answer had nothing to prove itself. I only said, I want to try one more time. Leaving the room, my hands shook slightly. Not because of the cold, but because I had just bet more time, and money, and the remaining faith. That night, I canceled some work shifts. Not because of laziness, but because if I continued as before, I would continue to fail. I started studying at night, reading slowly, writing it down, looking up every word. Sometimes I fell asleep at the desk, opened my eyes, and saw my face printed on the page of the book. There was no motivation, only habit. My first victory was just not being eliminated. The day the results came, I didn't open my laptop right away. I walked around the neighborhood. Gray sky, light wind. I knew I didn't need high grades. I only needed no more red. I opened the portal. My name appeared. In black. Pass. Not beautiful. Not excellent. Just enough. But I breathed out. For the first time in a long time. That night, I still went to work. But my heart was lighter. I called home. Spoke shortly. I passed. On the other end of the line. No one said anything. Only a long sigh could be heard. I knew. That wasn't relief. That was being allowed to live with more hope. I didn't win. I just hadn't lost yet. And perhaps, for someone who has traveled from very far, that was enough. We're more than just viewers, we're companions. Subscribe so we don't lose touch.